Howdy gang, today's going to be a very different kind of video because I'm going to walk you through the entire process of developing my personal WordPress theme. Now, people have asked me in the past and a lot more recently how to develop a WordPress theme, and I've done simple videos on it before, but there's so much to it, so many files, so much code that it's very difficult to cover. And it's hard to split it up into sections because so much of it intertwines. So after getting a few more requests for it recently, and having a personal need to develop a WordPress theme for my own website, I've decided that this is what we're going to do. I'm going to build my WordPress theme as I normally would, but I'm going to write it at a slightly slower pace so we can go through and I can show you. I'm also going to use a lot of resources that I would normally use and work in the environment that I normally use. Because I'm not going to stop, that means that this video could get incredibly long. It could top my 1 hour and 7 minute Drupal video. It could get incredibly long. So if this is something you want to watch and you're interested in, get ready for a long video. Because there might be something in here that can help you if you're interested in WordPress theming. And I'm also in a minute gonna tell you some things about the resources we're going to be using, so that'll give you a fine base from which to start. So this is going to be a quick and dirty screencast really. There's going to be no frills to this. I'm just going to work as I normally would and go through it. That also means that throughout the screencast you'll hear me taking a drink, because it's very hot in this room, and if I'm going to be talking almost non-stop for over an hour, I need to drink. So excuse that, but it's part of this deal. So get comfortable and let's build a WordPress theme. I'm not going to build kind of a skeletal WordPress theme. I'm going to build a full WordPress theme that I'm going to use on my personal site. So you really will get an idea of what the designing is really like. Now, I want to say, first off, two things I want to say. A, you'll need some web coding experience. Now, I'm gonna take you through the WordPress specific stuff, but you're gonna need to know HTML and CSS. Those are pretty standard requirements for any kind of web coding. So you're going to need to have a solid understanding of those, particularly HTML, because it's what we're going to be using. I'm also going to note that this is the second thing, that we're not going to be developing in a WYSIWYG. That being, what you see is what you get editor. So it's not going to be like Microsoft Publisher. We're going to code it and develop it from scratch. So with that out of the way, I'm going to be using my own text editor that you've seen me use in a lot of the videos, but you can use whatever you want. Not text editor being Microsoft Word, a text editor that is capable of editing in plain text, something like Notepad. I'm not going to elaborate too much further on that, because without sounding disrespectful, if you don't know what a plain text editor is, you're not going to understand what we're talking about here. But that's an important thing that you're gonna need. You're gonna need some web coding experience. So that being HTML, and later on in the tutorial CSS. something that's going to make this tutorial also kind of interesting and building my personal theme kind of interesting is I've got no plan for how we're going to do this. I haven't even developed a design yet, but that's often how it goes with me. So it'd be interesting to see how it develops and changes. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now because you're gonna hear plenty of my voice anyway, and we're gonna pull up the Firefox window. This is a stock WordPress theme. I'm developing locally, on a MAMP based server now that can run WordPress, and I highly recommend you develop locally if you're doing this, because then you won't impact on a live site. This is a stock WordPress theme, but we're not gonna talk about that now. So I think we're just gonna head right into code in my text editor. So I'm drilled down to where to where our WordPress installation is. I'm in the WP content and themes folder. This is where you store all the themes you need for WordPress, and there are already a couple in here. These two down here are defaults, but we're gonna create our own. So tutorials started. We're gonna create a new folder. Just gonna call my theme awesome. You can do whatever you want, but it's awesome because we're coding and we're developing a theme. Alright, let's get started. We're gonna need 2 files, and we can leave them blank for now, but you need 2 files to create a theme. All you need technically is these 2 files. You don't actually need anything else. We're gonna develop a lot of other stuff, but you don't actually need anything else. So we're gonna create index.php. And we're gonna leave that blank for now, but what we are gonna do is create a style.css file. Now, WordPress is going to see our theme, now that we have those 2 files in a folder in the themes folder. We're going to leave the index.php alone for now, but we're going to start in the CSS file. What we're going to start off with is something specific to WordPress that you need to put at the top of your CSS file. So you need to start with a block comment, and again, this is one of those things where it's specific CSS, not WordPress, so you should already have a sound understanding of it. This is where I'm going to bring in one of my resources. On the WordPress Codex, WordPress folks have a really great really great support mechanisms, and this is a time for definitely using them. I'm on this page here. It's I'll put a link in the description to all these pages I've got open, but all the information that I'm going to talk about is available here. I'm going to be referencing it, snagging some code, and talking about it really throughout the tutorial. So the first thing we're going to do in our comment, and I'm just indenting because that's where I roll. I'm going to put theme name equals also. We're also going to put theme author as, what can we put? YouTubers, there we go. And there's a whole bunch of stuff you can put here, and I'll show you how I populate in a minute, but we're just going to put one last thing. And the order doesn't matter either, but I just going to put theme URI equals, and that is the URL for we're going to send people for more info about our theme, and that is going to be that. We're going to leave the CSS file alone for now because we need it. There's a whole bunch of these other WordPress specific tags you can put in, but we're just going to leave it like that for now. I'll show you where that populates. So with that saved, by the way, to get more info on these tags, you can just visit the link I include in the description, and it's got information on all the stuff I'm going to be talking about and far more. So anything that I say, go to the link and you can find out more. You can pretty much guarantee it'll be on this page. So I'm not going to...
It's 2030.
Unless I need some code, I'm not going to keep referencing back to it because that would take too long. But we're only referencing it for code. So with that said, we're going to go back. Now that we've got that CSS file saved and that blank index.php file, we're going to go to the back end of our WordPress appearance theme. We've got 3 installed here already. We're just going to refresh now. Now we've got those 2 files. And there's another theme. Awesome. It didn't get the author, so let's try that and see if it. It doesn't matter anyway. What matters is we've got our theme showing up, and we know it's our theme because it tells us where our files are located. Just as a side note, you can put anything you want in that comment, and it would show up as name. You can also there's other keys you can use to fill out a description and tags, and even give it a screenshot. But we're not going to bother with that because this is just for my personal use. It's not like I'm going to be sharing it, so we're going to leave it there for now. We're going to leave the CSS file alone for now, and we're going to move on to the index.php file. Now, almost all files in WordPress use a concept called template tagging, and they also use includes, and you'll see what I mean in a minute, but I'm just going to get on with writing it. Oh no, actually, I'm sorry I'm jumping around, but I've just decided we're going to start off, just to make it for you guys to understand, we're going to start off by making a file called header.php, and we're going to start there. So this is like a normal head section for any website because we'll pull it in on all our pages. So you're gonna start off just hard coding all the normal stuff you put on a website. So we're gonna start off with a doc type. We're just gonna use HTML because I'm going to be using some HTML5 specific things. We're not going to put the closing tags for containing elements like the HTML element because other things are going to contain it. So we're actually going to get rid of that closing tag. Same for the head. Oh no, actually, not same for the head because that's going to begin and end as part of the header structure. So we're going to leave the head. We're going to create a body tag as you'd expect. And this is definitely not going to end in the header.php file. You'll see why when we do it now, but yeah, minus the closing HTML tag, which we'll talk about later, and the closing body tag, what we have there is the makings of a standard website. Just to demonstrate this to you, we're gonna go back. We're gonna save that. We're gonna go to our index.php file because the header.php file and most other files don't just get included. You have to use special WordPress commands which you can find on the Codex to include them. So on our index.php file, we're just going to open PHP and say get header. That right there is a specific WordPress function and is a way of including WordPress theme files. There's a couple more which we're going to talk about once we create more files. But if I put the get header in there and we come back, refresh our page, we need to set our theme first. And we view the site now with our theme in effect. If we use Firebug, which is a tool I use all the time, and we look at the HTML, we should see heads of all the stuff we put in our we put in our header.php file. So you see it's got the HTML5 doc that we wanted in, and it's just Firebug adding the opening and closing tags. They're not actually anything. So the whole idea of what we're saying there is it plunks all the stuff you put in the header.php file in as into all your pages at the very top. So you put anything you want to be in the head section in there. So that's also why you don't close them off, because so we'll talk about in a minute. There's a get footer command which, surprise surprise, includes the get footer.php command. So actually we're just going to create a file now called footer.php, and we're going to look at what we've got open and haven't closed. We're going to close it all because that's going to be within the file. So the first thing that needs to be closed is a body tag. So we're going to put closing body, and we've also got a HTML element that's not closed, so we're going to close that as well. So just to clarify, if we look at the actual source code, which we haven't got any closing tags on, we didn't put the closing tags in our header.php file because there's a file called footer which handles all that stuff, which we're going to see now. So if we go into our see what I said about it being a really long video. It will be, but hopefully there'll be useful information in there somewhere. So, how are we going to include this footer file that we just written on our index.php file? Well, this might surprise you, but what we're going to do is we're going to write exactly the same statement, but we're just going to put get footer. So we should now have our page correctly sandwiched. If we look at the source code, those closing elements have also appeared as well. So it stitches it together wherever you put those two get header and get footer statements. So we're gonna go back to our code, and we're gonna I said you only need an index.php file and a style.css file. Well, the thing is, most WordPress themes have multiple files for a reason that will become clear later during the screencast. So using the include method means you don't have to write the information that goes in your header.php file so many times. You can just write a simple call for get header. So that's that there. I'm not quite sure what order is best to do this in. I should probably mention now as well that I've got this on one of the other web pages I have open, the blank WordPress theme by digging into WordPress. Now this is a blank standards compliant theme that includes all the WordPress code, and you just have to sandwich in it in HTML and just edit it and get it done what you want now. But it's good to be able to code it yourself. Throughout this, we're going to be nicking code in and out of a WordPress theme, which is why I've got the blank theme there. But the address is digginin2010/02/blank-WordPress-theme, and you can download it from there. So if you want an easier way to get started, that this is going to have all this stuff already in there for you. But you guys said you wanted to learn how to build WordPress themes, so this is what we're doing. Okay, so we haven't actually seen anything happen yet, any cool WordPress stuff happen. I'm not sure what order to do this in. I think we should probably concentrate on the header.php file for now and not leave the other stuff till later. The first thing we're going to do is, you know how on a HTML element you'd have a line statement? Well, what we're going to do is just print the PHP statement. What that'll do is that'll print the correct code for all the language attributes that need to go on the HTML tag correctly where they need to go. This brings up something else I should mention throughout the tutorial. To insert our WordPress stuff into our HTML, we're going to be using these PHP based language these PHP based functions that are specific to WordPress. you can find more information about them on the thing. They're called template tags, and here is a complete list of them. Down here, you can obviously get more information about this. We're going to be using them throughout the tutorial. We've already used one, get header, but I prefer to think of that as an include. So what else goes in the head section of a page? Well, at the most basic level, you need a title tag, right? Every site needs a title tag. So we're going to create our title tag. But we're not going to put a static WordPress. We're not going to put a static title in there. We're going to put a dynamic. Actually, we're not going to start there. We're going to start by actually, we are going to start there, and this is one of the places where I'm going to snag some code from the header.php file of the blank theme. This is standardized code, but there's so much conditional logic to this that deals with opening of different pages that I'm not even really going to go through it. So time for a little copying and pasting. This is just how I roll. So we're going to open up the header.php file, and I'm just going to snag some code out of it. And I'm going to snag all the code that's inside of the title tag in the HTML. You can see there's a whole bunch of other stuff here, but we're going to snag what's in the title tag. And you can see how big it is. There's so much logic to it. So we're just going to snag all that PHP code and go ahead and drop it in there. Our environments get a little messy, so I'm going to clean up a bit. So we want title, we're going to paste all that PHP code that we just snagged out of there. This just deals basically with having different scenarios in which you could need a title at the top of the browser. So this is just logic, and you can see why I didn't want to write it myself. There's a ton of it, but that's pretty much the only thing that we're going to snag, and I'm not going to write. So we've now got a dynamically generated title. Great. What's the next thing you put in a file? Well, it's normally a link to a style sheet. So we're going to do that. Now, where's it going to get the style sheet from? We can't just put style.css because we're in our theme file now, but wherever this page gets included, you could get a whole bunch of different scenarios, because remember, we're including this page everywhere we go, so you could get a whole bunch of different scenarios. So what's the WordPress where as well? WordPress already knows where the style sheet is because it's needed for a theme folder. So we're just going to say PHP echo style sheet URL, and that's a thing specific to WordPress. And we're going to keep doing that so that it knows where things are, and it's done our generated. So every time this page gets called, the server's going to work out what style sheet URL is equal to, and that's set by WordPress, not us. So it's going to be able to work out where that is. We're just going to type in style type.css. Right, there's not anything else for now I can immediately think we're gonna need, so we're gonna end it there. But wait, you think that's the end of our head section? Why have I just added more space? That's because to tell it where the head section is on your page, WordPress likes to put in this little comment. Again, this is all available on the thing. WP head, and this tells WordPress and other third-party plugins where to find the head of your page, so that if it needs to put its own stuff in the head section there, that it can have control of, it knows where to put that. This was the third thing I was going to mention. If you recall, I was getting ready to type it, but it's important you put it last, not first, or any other location, because it needs to be able to dominate over all that's in your code. So it needs to have dominating position. HTML gets read downwards, and so does CSS. So it needs to be the last thing in your head section. So even when we come to add more stuff later, we're gonna put it all there. What else do we need? Well, now we're down to our opening body tag. So remember, this is the header file. So it's things that are gonna get output on every page, because we're going to be using that get header on every page. So what do we want to be shown on every page? Well, in my website, I want it containing div, which we're just going to call wrapper. And of course, because they're going to be in separate files, the autocomplete for the code, which is normally super useful, now becomes super annoying. But you didn't need to know that. I'm going to create another div with a div ID of header, because obviously I want the header to appear on every page, and because it's the it's going to appear on every page, so it's all going to be in a header.php file. I can also put the closing comment in the header.php file. So what we're going to put in our header, well, first of all, we're just going to put a h1 tag, and that's normally what I use for titles. We're just going to put PHP blog info, and this time we're going to pass it a parameter because there's a whole bunch of stuff in blog info. So to pass it as a parameter, we're just going to put the closing, the brackets, and then inside of the brackets we're going to put, and I normally use single quotes, but it doesn't really matter. Inside the brackets we're going to put single question mark and then name. What this is going to do is it's going to go into your WordPress install, find out what the name you set for your WordPress install, and stick it in there in that h1 tag. So good start. We're now going to put a description, which is also generated by WordPress, because I want the description to be on my blog. So again, it can have the closing tag because it's all going to be in the header file, and we're going to put something very similar. So I'm actually going to just copy that. And instead of name, we're going to put another proprietary WordPress thing, and that is description. I think that's all we're going to have in our head for now, at least. Doing this blog info stuff just reminded me that you don't put echo style sheet URL. That's a Drupal thing. What we need to do is put our blog.
It's 21 hours.
Blog info statement. And then inside of that, as a parameter, we're going to pass it style sheet URL. It is part of blog info because it classes as general information about the blog. So that's going to do the same thing as the way I showed you, but it's just a slightly different way to write it. So we're gonna save that. The next thing I'm going to have is a navigation. I'm just going to put it as the nav element, which is a HTML5 thing. ID of primary, because I'm going to have a primary and a secondary. This is where I'm going to snag some code, because since they altered it, I in WordPress 3 they added in a menu system, so I'm not sure how to call things from that menu system. Perhaps it's in function reference. I'm not seeing it so far. Who sees it? Now we're going to use the WP page menu function because that's easier. Similar to the WP list pages that used to exist that everyone used to use. It's going to print out a list of all the pages without us having to worry about navigation. So I'm going to sandwich them all within an unordered list. Actually, I don't need to do that because there's only going to be one line. You could use the menu system of WordPress by using one of those functions we looked at, but it's probably just easier and better for me to just create a list based on all the pages because I can exclude certain pages anyway, and it's what I'm used to, and I don't have the pages set up in menu structures, so probably easy just to do it this way. Nice simple function should print out an entire menu, but we'll wait and see. When save that file, remembering that what we're actually loading is our index.php file, but we're including our markup, so we should. Yes, we have what we wanted. We have our title, our description, and our links, and those are all the ones that have been created. So we have everything we've asked for so far, and I'm just going to check because oftentimes with these functions you don't know exactly what they're creating. So it put an unordered list inside of it. I think then what we're going to do is just have that side of a div because it creates a div, so we don't need to create any extra superfluous markup. So it'll just be a lot cleaner. So we're just going to put WP page menu because that particular function clearly generates a markup of its own, so we don't need to add extra fuss by adding our own markup. With that done, let's go on, head back, and you can see how many divs and nested unordered lists we had. So you can see why I didn't do that, and we've now only got we've got a div of class and menu. Nice and semantic. So in that case, we didn't need to write our own code. Okay, now that we've finished our head section, we're gonna move on to the index page. Now, remember we've already got all this content in the index page because it'll put it in when it loads. So we're in the middle of this div of class of wrapper because remember that's not closed. So all our content is going to be inside this div of class of wrapper. So we don't need to worry about that. So what we're looking at now is effectively the home page of our site until we set it as a custom page. So there's a separate thing for that which we'll cover in a minute. But on the home page of a blog, you usually have a list of the most recent posts. So let's do that. The way we're going to do that is something called the loop, and it's specific to WordPress. What we're going to do is loop through all the content that's on our site, see if there's any blog posts, and if there is, we're going to say what we're going to do for each blog post. So we're gonna specify one blog post, and then the way the code's written, it's going to do the same for all blog posts. So to do that, we're just going to say if have posts then do something. While have posts the post, and that's necessary for pretty much all pages on our WordPress blog, even single pages, as you'll see later. So what that's going to do is loop through all the different posts and give us access to the content that's in WordPress to print out in our own way. So that's good. We've opened two things. We've opened an if statement, and we've also opened a while statement. So the next thing we need to do is close them. The while statement is the last one to open, so that's going to be the last one to close. So we're just going to put end while. So what this is going to do is for every post that's set up to show on the home page, it's going to print out the same thing for each one, and we're gonna tell it what we want it to print out. In my case, I think it's going to do 5 because in my homepage for WordPress, I have it set, and I think 5 is the default for how many it shows at a certain time. You can override that, and I might show you how to do that in a bit, but we're not going to for now. So when it only shows 5 posts, you'll know why. So the first thing we're going to do is in H2 tags, we're going to put the title. We're going to just go back to our page, refresh, and see what the result of that is. Good, so what it's done, if you can see, is it's looped through. That's the purpose of this while loop. Every post that it's allowed to, and it's set to what it's allowed from within WordPress. We can override that, as I was saying, but that's where it gets it from. So WordPress says loop through however many posts I allow you to loop through, and do whatever the user says for each thing. So in this case, we said make H2 tags, and inside of them put the title, and this is going to run for every post that's allowed. Remember, so we've used the title function, and again, all these functions that you can use in your code are available in that thing. So on the codex that I gave you a link to. We're going to make this into a link because when you have a blog, so the title of the post are links. So we're going to put standard code for a link, so it's going to be href. How are we going to get the URL of that post? Because remember, this runs each time, so we can't have hard-coded URL. But we're going to use another function, which is again available on the post. I'm going to say the permalink. We're going to make that the content of the link, not forgetting to close out our link at the end. And with that, so we're just going to refresh. I'm not going to be doing this for every thing that we do, because that would get tedious, but I'm just going to do it for this. So that's going to take us, if you can see my browser bar down below, to the individual page on our site for that particular post. Now, I'm not going to click that because we haven't set what the individual pages look like yet, but we're gonna get to that now. So let's think first of all. We've got our titles. What else would you want in a teaser? So you probably want an excerpt from each of the things, and there's a function for that. So inside of a paragraph tag, and if it was going to be a multi-paragraph text, obviously you wouldn't want to put paragraph tag there because you don't want paragraph tags inside of paragraph tags. But we're just going to put PHP, and again this is available. The excerpt. So for every one of our posts that we've got the titles for, it's also now going to go out and find an excerpt from that post and stick it below the title. So it's starting to look more like a blog now, just in terms of what we've got in code. You can see there's no way to go back and see our previous posts that aren't just the posts that I've defined you can see per page. So we want to be able to go back to the previous page and look at previous posts. So how are we going to do that? Well, two very simple functions for previous page and next page. This is going to be outside of that while loop because we're not going to do this for every post. We're just going to do this for every page. So we're going to put it outside the while loop. We're just going to say previous post link. We're going to copy that. Because we also want to have next post link. So what it's going to do again is just give us access to go back through the different pages 3 times so we can see more articles. So you can see that little back over there, and there's no newer post than what's on this page. So if I do a backspace, you can see that we have the post for that particular time. We don't seem to have. We just seem to have one post, not our full page. So let's go back to the Codex, and this is what it's really like. You just find the one that works and the one that doesn't. Fortunately, they have good examples, so we're just gonna we're just gonna backspace out of that. I'm gonna do a search on page. I'm not seeing it anywhere. What we're gonna do? See if that. Helps us out. Yeah, we can get to the next page. So it's post, not post. But we've now got that area, so we can go for articles. Very, very nice. So it's really starting to look like a blog now. We've only written some simple code when you think about it. What else do we want? Well, let's start to add some styling to this. Like I said, CSS and HTML prediction are kind of intertwined, so let's add some things that are going to allow us to style it. Remember, this is going to be my personal theme, so we're going to leave it there. We're going to go into our. First of all, we're going to add into our header section. We've already got a wrapper, so we're going to create down here. First, we're going to do a star selector, reset the margin and padding. We're going to do margin 0, padding 0. We're going to set wrapper for a width of 1050 pixels and a margin of 0 auto. The body can have a background of a very dark grey. again, this is just standard CSS stuff, but it all kind of goes together. So, with that saved, we're just gonna go ahead and refresh, and we should see some significant changes in the looks department. Yeah, so we have our black background, but I forgot to set a colour for the wrapper, so it's all showing up in black. So I'm going to say the background of all the stuff that wraps our content is going to be white.
It's 21:30.
I'm going to refresh. Save again and refresh. And we have our styles taking effect. Starting to look more and more like a website all the time. I'm just gonna add. Actually, I don't know how much further we're gonna go here. I think I'm just gonna pause the screencast and see how much time has elapsed. So because I've been worried about the time, I think that's where we're going to leave it for the screencasters. This will be a series. I wasn't sure there'd be a series of one video, but I think this video's got long enough. So thanks for watching this video, guys. Tune in for the next one. Hope you've enjoyed.